Good morning, kiddos. The word sort for this week, we have long I and long O sounds. And so in our first row here, we have long O sounds, or long I sounds, excuse me, and they are spelled I consonant E or just I. And an example of just I would be sign. So that would be long I spelled S-I-G-N, and it's just the long I sound spelled with just an I. And then we have I consonant E, and an example of that would be the word strike. It's S-T-R-I-K-E, and you have I consonant E, strike. And so strike would be another word for long I, and it's I consonant E. In the next box we have, or the next row, we have I, long I sound spelled I-G-H, and an example of that would be mighty, M-I-G-H-T-Y. And there's the long I sound, mighty, spelled I-G-H. And so mighty would go into that box. It's also the long I sound spelled with a Y. And an example of that would be the word reply. And it's R-E-P-L-Y, reply. And we have that long I sound spelled with a Y. And so you have reply in there. Our next row, we have long O sounds, and we have long O spelled O consonant E, and an example of that would be compose. And we have compose, pose, long O is there, and you have O consonant E. And so you would have compose, and then you would find any of the long O sounds spelled with just O. And an example of that would be the word stroll. You have a long O sound just with the letter O. And then we can move down to our next box, and that's long O sound spelled with O-A or O-W. An example of O-A would be the word groan. G-R-O-A-N, and you have the long O sound spelled with O-A. And it also has long O sound spelled with O-W, and an example of that would be the word throne. T-H-R-O-W-N, and you have the long O sound spelled O-W, throne. And then at the bottom, we have other spellings for long I and long O. And those would be ones that didn't follow along with any of the rules that we had above. And one example of that would be the word dough, D-O-U-G-H. And that's the long O sound spelled O-U. And so that would be another, or an example of long O spelled without following any of the rules above. So your job is now to go through and sort through all of your basic words and your challenge words and sort them into the appropriate box. On page 30, it's just our usual proofreading for spelling, and so you are reading through all of your words, and then you're finding your misspelled spelling words in this text and writing them on the line. I don't think I probably need to give you an example of how to do this since we've been doing this for the last 6 weeks. So if you need help with this one, you can ask during our class meeting, but I think you should probably be good to go with this being multiple weeks of practice with this same type of page.